Hi, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Christy, and this is At Home with Covenant Care.
For over 36 years, Covenant Care has been in your homes caring for your families.
We've made some short videos that you can do with your family at home and have fun during this time.
Enjoy these. Hey everybody, I'm Aaron West with Covenant Care, and we are here today for an episode of At Home with Covenant Care. And today we're with Gus Silivos, owner of Skopelos at New World, and Mantis Affairs and Catering, is that right?
Catering and events.
Catering and events.
And Scenic 90 Cafe.
Scenic 90 Cafe, all kind of stables here in Pensacola community. So we're kind of behind the scenes today in the kitchen at Skopelos, and with an idea of Gus leading us through something that families can do together. While we're here all together, we're kind of at home together, maybe for the first time in a long time. Gus will lead us through some simple recipes that the kids can get involved in, mom and dad can get involved in, grandparents can get involved in. And so hit it with what you're going to do.
Sure, be glad to. So we're going to do a chicken dish because that's something that everybody can do at home. I always like to do a recipe that people are comfortable to prepare at home because it doesn't make any sense to have all these ingredients that most people don't have in their pantry. So we're going to do a cornmeal dusted chicken breast. It's going to have a little bit of, you can put any kind of nuts you like in there. This today is going to have pecans, or you can leave the pecans out. Typically, if you use cornmeal, you want to add a little bit of flour, and we'll have the recipe too that they can see. It just kind of binds a little bit on the chicken. We're going to do the chicken breast in buttermilk to begin with, so it gives it a little richness to the chicken, and then we're going to coat it with the cornmeal and saute it. So everything's going to be done on the stove. And it's an easy, simple recipe. We're going to do a couple sides with it. Today I was going to do some fresh spinach with some cherry tomatoes and garlic. And then for the potatoes, we're going to do a little bit of new potatoes, just really nicely browned with some fresh rosemary. So again, kind of simple all the way around.
Hey, listen, I'm not a cook, and it sounds like something I could do with my family.
Yes,
so,
yes, absolutely.
So let's get started. How do you start this?
Yeah.
And as you're going, let's talk a little bit about how you got started cooking.
Yeah, so
engaging with your family.
Obviously Skopelos has been around. We're fortunate to celebrate 60 years last year, so we're working on our 61st anniversary, and we hope to make it through this like everyone else. But started it at home. My grandmother had a restaurant here in Pensacola, so I'm third generation restaurateur here in Pensacola, which I'm proud to call home. And back then, my grandfather would go back and forth to Greece, as a lot of the immigrants used to do. And so he took a book with him, which is kind of considered the Bible in cooking, the gastronomie, the Rus la gastronomie. And it was in Greek, and my grandmother started cooking, fancy things that, most people didn't even know or aware of at the time, such as bechamel sauce and things like that. And so she really was a great cook, and so I got started with that. Started at the restaurant when I was 11, working there as a busboy, and then on and on. And when I decided after going through WF, this was the industry that I loved. Back then,
all the way back
years
way
ago,
back then,
right?
Yeah.
There were only 3 cooking schools, so I chose the Culinary Institute of America up in Hyde Park, New York. Or as my kids used to say when they were growing up, my dad went to CIA.
Yeah, right. It's more interesting.
It's more interesting, right? And came back home and ran the family restaurant. And now, as you mentioned, this is our 3rd location. That we're located downtown. We're great. Feel fortunate to be downtown and part of the vibrant community that's here in the downtown area. Right now, currently, we're just doing curbside as far as the pickup. At Skopelos, we're doing it in the evening time, Tuesday through Saturday, from 5 to 7:30. At Scenic 90, we're doing actually breakfast and lunch, so from 7:30 to 1:30, and then dinner from 4 to 7:30 in the evening. And then at Nancy's, we're doing just in the evening there again. Nancy's is more of gourmet to go, so we were always geared for that there. And we even have a pickup window so people can drive through and pick up food.
So make sure you do that. Let's support our local businesses and keep them here when we come back. So I'm going to sit on this side of you. And
okay, so we're going to start with a little bit of salt and pepper. That I have a mixture to do the chicken breast. It is boneless. It is skinless chicken breast. It's a 6 ounce. It's going to go right into the buttermilk mixture that also has 1 egg that's whipped into it. And then from there, it goes into the cornmeal, that I have, as I mentioned, with the pecans that's in there.
And again, if you don't like pecans, leave them out.
Yeah, leave them out if you're allergic to nuts. And we do this all the time, by the way. One of the things that we're always proud of is to modify recipes for guests for dietary needs. So we always do that. So I'm going to bring this here, and we're going to always want to make sure that the pan is hot. So we're going to heat up the pan just like you would put a cake in the oven. You want to make sure the oven is up to temperature before you would put it in a cold oven. So it kind of works the same way. I'm also going to light up this right here, maybe bring it.
And again, all of this is stuff that with supervision, your children can do with
Yes.
everything you're doing.
Yes, absolutely. Now in this back pan, because of time constraints, I started the potatoes. So all I did was take just nice small red potatoes, quartered them, put them in the pan with a little bit of olive oil, and just slowly browning them off. So you can do that at any time. And part of cooking, what's important is to have everything, what we call in our business, you mess in place, or mise en place is the correct terminology. So always have your ingredients, always grab everything that the recipe calls for. It makes it a lot easier to go through, and I think that's what makes it frustrating at times. People tend to get this and this and this ingredient, and then, oh, I don't have this one. So always lay everything out, and even as I see right behind me, I'm going to do the spinach, the tomato, and the garlic. So everything is right there together, so when you get to it, you're just able to grab
So
it.
let's say that someone's at home right now together, and they don't have potatoes.
Yes.
What would be your second option?
Rice. Rice would be great. It doesn't take very long. That's usually the two things that
but most people
have in the pantry. If not, pasta works really well. Anything that's starchy, and at times too, sometimes people just want to do more vegetables.
Right.
So
So between those things, grab those out of your refrigerator because they're in there somewhere.
That's right. All right. So we're going to add a little bit of olive oil. So extra virgin olive oil to the pan, to the heated pan, and then we're going to take the chicken breast and put it right in. And that's what you want to see. You want to see where it's really cooking and it's bubbling because that's telling you that the pan is hot. Because anytime you put anything in the pan, it's going to drop the temperature just like it does when you go in the oven. So that's why you want it to make sure and get a nice sear. At that point, then you can always adjust your flame, or if it's electric, that's fine. Adjust the heat down so it's not going to have any kind of fast cooking where it's burning before it gets done inside.
So could you see that
Can you?
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure that people can see that.
Yeah, where it's just bubbling and you just kind of move it around, and like I said, you just lower the temperature even a little more, because one of the things, once you have something of a coating on a product, and by the way, and this is a gluten-free product because cornmeal, right? It's gluten-free. But if you don't want to have anything and you have a non-stick pan, you can also just do plain, just the seasoning, salt and pepper go in there. But anytime you have any kind of coating, it's going to actually brown off a lot faster. So that's why you want to drop your temperature.
So it keeps the coating from
It
burning.
keeps the coating from burning, and the chicken gets done. Of course, another way of achieving the same thing is to take this after you brown it off, and if it's not done, is to put it in a 350-degree oven and cook it all the way to the temperature to 145 at least for 165.
So what do you say to people like me, maybe some people at home, that always want to keep flipping their piece of chicken back and forth? Leave it. Leave it? Okay. That's a lesson that I get to learn today as well.
And cooks have the same problem at work, is that everybody feels like they have to handle the food and do that. The best thing to do is just let it go really slow and easy, and I'm dropping it even more so. Now, the other thing too that you want to see is as it's absorbing, because the meal is absorbing the olive oil, you want to add a little more. So you can see now where it goes back to bubbling, because the oil is what transfers the heat across the pan. So this is what gives you the even coloring versus, and sometimes, I don't know, if you have cooked at home and you see, brown spots here and there, it's because there's not enough oil to transfer your heat across.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's always nice to have enough and even add a little more. So you can always add what we say in cooking, You can always add, you can't subtract.
Yep.
And the same thing with seasoning. You can always add, and sometimes you add it, towards the end.
So tell me this, Gus. While this is cooking, we're talking about families and children together and how children learn to cook. So when you were a young boy, what went on in your house? Was it your parents? Was it grandparents? Was it other family members?
It was mostly my grandmother, because she was always at home, and she would be the one that would be cooking. And it was one of those situations where, she made everything from scratch. I mean, and it was delicious. And she expected you to eat everything. So everything that went not only on your plate, but she would come back with more. It's like, yeah, you're too skinny.
Okay, right. I've heard that
You
before
need to
too.
eat, right?
My in-laws are Hispanic. They've told me the same thing.
Yes.
You need to eat more. You need to eat more sombreros.
That's exactly right. So in this saute pan, what we're going to do is do the spinach. So what I'm doing, again, low heat, starting it off, because I still have some time to go on the chicken. But I want to also start the heating process, where we're going to do the spinach, the tomatoes, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of olive oil, and that's all going to be part of the dish that we're going to do.
So again, you've got to kind of step out.
Yes.
Kind of time down, step out.
That's exactly right.
Everything's warm and hot.
Right, and thank you for pointing that out, Aaron, because one of the things too that a lot of people don't consider when they're cooking is you always want to start with the item that's going to take the longest. Okay, so always start with your protein. Usually, it's just like making soup. If you're going to have ingredients in there that's going to take longer than the other ingredients, yes, you're going to start with that item first, and then kind of finish it off as you're going through the steps.
That's a key tip at home to remember.
It is, and the other key tip at home that I always like to tell everybody is, this idea that when you do a recipe and it doesn't come out, that you give up.
Right.
Think about all the people that do sports, that go out there and play golf or tennis or whatever. You think that they shoot 72 every time? No. Do they stop? No. So cooking is the same way. It's a trial and error, and through the different mistakes and the different things that you do, I mean, I still learn something every day. When I cook something and it's like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? I mean, look what happened.
Yeah.
And you catch yourself and you find yourself, oh, that's a learning process, right? And more so than beating yourself over it.
And again, what a great opportunity as a family right now.
Yes.
So many times we're not together, but that learning opportunity as a family is very neat.
So we just flip the chicken over, and you can see it has a nice, really brown coating on it.
That's beautiful.
And so now it's going to cook on the other side. So typically it takes anywhere on this type of chicken breast, and again, it's not thick because you have to consider the thickness of your product, right? So this, and sometimes you may want to pound it a little bit to make it even if it's really big, or butterfly, cutting it across to make it so it's kind of even, so that it cooks even. So in this case, it's cooked for about 4 or 5 minutes. We'll flip it over another 3 to 5 minutes, and usually that's done.
Tell us what you have over here then. It's getting ready.
Yes. So with this one now, we're going to start with the olive oil, and we're going to add the tomatoes because that takes the longest.
There you go.
Yep. And then we're going to add a little bit of garlic. About a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic.
Oh, it smells good.
Don't it though?
Oh, it smells so good.
I know, I've always said if we can transmit the aromas through.
It's half of it, right?
Yeah.
It's 3/4
So
of it.
now we're going to add the fresh spinach. And again, it looks like a lot of spinach, but spinach, it's going to wilt. It's going to really shrink. So that's why you want to start with a lot, because it will get smaller.
So I would have immediately thought you needed to add liquid.
Yeah.
But you don't need to add liquid.
You don't. And I usually don't.
Tomatoes have
Because
liquid?
tomatoes will, that's exactly right.
I never
So
thought of
tomatoes will, spinach will. Again, low temperature is the key, because if you have it hot, it's going to not only burn your product, but it also dissipates the liquid. So that liquid that you thought was there is not going to be there.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how you do it. Now, on the potatoes here, the only other thing that I have, if I can come right over here a little bit, is some rosemary that I'm going to add to the potatoes. So the rosemary sprigs that I've just taken off the sprig, the little leaves, we're going to put those in there in the potatoes.
And you can find that in a lot of your yards.
Yes. And a little bit of seasoning, salt and pepper to the potatoes. And then I'm just going to add just a little bit to the spinach, because you want to be careful how much you put in there because again, your volume is going to really shrink. And you can see here already. So now we're just going to take it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It's really beautiful. So while you're finishing that, remind everybody watching at home what you're doing during this downtime, what you're doing right
Yes.
now in all three of your restaurants.
So we're trying, like everyone else, to keep as many of our staff as possible working. It is a very challenging time for everyone, but for Skopelos at New World, we're open Tuesday through Saturday from 5 until 7:30. We're doing pickup and curbside. They can certainly order ahead of time, come in, and we'll have it ready, or we can bring it out to them at curbside to take home. At Scenic 90, we're doing breakfast from 7:30 to 1:30 and lunch, and then we're doing dinner as well as breakfast and everything, just like we normally do there, but we are serving from 4:30 to 7:30. And then at Nancy's, we're doing Tuesday through Saturday from from 4 until 7 o'clock.
Where can they find your menus?
So the menus, they can go online, they can call ahead, but everything is online. So under Skopelos at New World, under Scenic 90 Cafe, and under Nancy's Catering and Events.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you can eat every single meal, every single day at one of his restaurants. So remember,
be
lots
awesome.
of local restaurants that need your help right now in supporting our friends and families. So
Yes.
come on
So
down.
we're taking the chicken breast off, setting it here, and what I'm going to do is take actually the little buttermilk that we have here, add it to the pan, and we'll make a little sauce with it. And I'm going to add a little pat of butter to the sauce. So again, everything that you have, all the ingredients, we're just using them to tie everything in. So, while that's cooking, I'm going to do the plating, take the spinach, the tomatoes, garlic, hot, so we'll use the towel. We'll take the potatoes. Add those there. And now the sauce we'll put down on the plate. And then take the chicken breast, set it on here, and if I may, grab one of these little sprigs of, I always want to garnish with something that's fresh. We use rosemary, so we're using a rosemary sprig, but if you don't have anything, obviously you don't need to. But that is the nice, easy, cornmeal dusted chicken breast with the rosemary roasted potatoes and the fresh spinach with cherry tomatoes and garlic.
So I've never hosted a show like this before, but I've seen a lot of them, and they always get to try at least something at the end, right? I mean, so I'm going to dig into that in a minute. It really looks, and Gus was right, if you could smell it, it really smells phenomenal.
Thank you.
It smells phenomenal. So, Gus, we can't thank you enough. And,
My pleasure.
As you said, come on down to one of the 3 restaurants. Any of them, look online, get your meals here, and really support all of our Pensacola and all of your communities. Restaurants during this time especially.
Stay safe, and we all will come out on the other side hopefully better than we were.
We definitely will. We have great friends. Gus is a phenomenal friend of Covenant Care, has been a great supporter of ours, has danced in our dance competition the last previous years. So thanks for being with us today and for doing this. It's phenomenal.
My pleasure.